The reigning national champs will have a new quarterback next year. Who will that quarterback be? We don't know, and that's why spring football is great. Jay Stevens, also great, of Locked On Buckeyes, joining me here on the show. You got all sorts of names in that room, Jay. You've got Julian Sayin, you've got Tavian St. Clair. Is it just those two guys? Anybody else in the mix? Like, what's going on here in Columbus?
Those are two of the guys that are in the mix. You can't forget the oldest man in the room being Lincoln Kienholz. He is a Buckeye that has progressed a lot during his time at Ohio State. But Julian Sayin is a guy that Will Howard praised when he was at the NFL Combine. Other former Buckeyes praised Julian Sayin's arm talent and saying it's his time now. Now, Sayin has to still go out there and win the job, but when you're getting high praise from guys that are about to get drafted into the National Football League, that's pretty big. Sayin's release, his ability to process very, very quickly are two of the reasons why I believe he's going to win the job, but he has to go out there and do it on the field. 15 spring practices, continue that work throughout the summer, in the fall camp, and Ryan Day's probably going to name a starting quarterback between weeks 2 and 3 of fall camp. Yeah, it's unfortunate that Buckeye fans have to wait a little bit longer before Ryan Day names a starting quarterback. There's 3 names in the room and 3 names in the battle, but there's truly only one guy that many people believe is going to win the job. That's Julian Sayin.
Can Sayin be expected to perform at the same level that Will Howard did last year? I thought Howard would have a career year. He did. Of course, led Ohio State to their first national championship since the 2014-15 season. And I just look at what he was able to do, particularly down the stretch, Jay. I don't know which first-year starter in all of college football is really capable of that.
No, I do not put him on that pedestal. One thing that Will Howard had in his bag was multiple years of playing there at Kansas State that allowed him to be ready for Ohio State last year, had to work on his mechanics and really work to perform with players that are a lot faster and better than what he had at Kansas State. I think Sayin or whoever, I'm just going to assume he's going to be the starter, or whoever the starting quarterback is at Ohio State in the fall, is probably going to have more of a C.J. Stroud start to their career. C.J. Stroud was very close to losing to Minnesota during his first start of his career, followed that up, as you know so well, to a loss to Oregon, and then all of a sudden he missed the game. Some say it was due to injury. Some say maybe he was about to lose his job. He came back after that and played phenomenal football, but there were some early season growing pains. And I do think for Sayin or Kienholz, I don't think St. Clair is going to win the job. These are true freshmen. That's not going to happen. I do think there's going to be some early season growing pains, and you might see an early season loss, maybe to a Big Ten school, maybe to Texas in week 1. But those types of things are going to help whoever that guy is to start for the Buckeyes at quarterback. It's going to help them be a better quarterback at the end of the day.
When you look at what Sayin brings to the table, the physical traits are immense. He's going to have the best wide receiver in college football to throw to. If he starts for 2 years, those guys could have quite the chemistry. He and Jeremiah Smith, of course, who I'm referring to, by the time the 2026 season gets underway. But do you think he has a situation around him, assuming that it is Sayin? I'll ask you more about that in a moment. But if he winds up starting this year for the Buckeyes, this is a unit that has lost 4 offensive linemen, 1 wide receiver to Mekabuku to the NFL draft, a bunch of guys on defense. Like, what can actually be expected of the new Buckeyes quarterback?
To figure it out throughout the season, similar to what I just mentioned, you have Jeremiah Smith. You also have Max Clair, the transfer tight end from Purdue.
By the way, one of my favorite pickups in the entire country. I wanted Oregon to get him. The moment I watched the Ducks play Purdue on a Friday night, I watched that guy for like 2 plays and said, dude, I want him. I want that guy. And Ohio State didn't use the tight ends a ton this past year. Max Clair is that guy.
Hey, so you mentioned Oregon. I got a little beef with Oregon, too. A couple years,
wow, you beat him in the Rose Bowl. Who cares?
You guys got no boy from Michigan State. All of a sudden, oh, no, he's going out to Oregon. And then this year, I was very high on one of Max Clair's former teammates, and Dylan Finneman. Y'all got him, too. So not only do you get a couple guys in the – hey, we got a tight end. You could have had a safety that would have been a great pair for Caleb Downs.
Because Ohio State's lacking in the safety department, right?
Hey, man, they're rotating right now at safety because they don't know who Caleb Downs' running mate's going to be. What was the question, Spencer? I got so annoyed by the Oregon comment.
The question was the support system around whoever Ohio State's starting quarterback is when you're changing 3 or 4 offensive linemen and an NFL caliber wideout.
The support system is one that it's going to be benefited not only because Max Clair's there, but Ohio State got a couple of tackles offensive tackles out of the portal that are going to help this young man, whoever the starting quarterback is, get up to speed. Ohio State also is going to have more depth on the offensive line, where in past years, when you put a first-time starting quarterback out there, they're working behind an offensive line that doesn't have depth or doesn't have experience, and everyone's trying to put it all together at the same time. I also think the addition of C.J. Donaldson is going to help whoever the quarterback is use the running game to help that quarterback slowly move into the game. If you go into a season with an offensive line that has no depth and no experience, running backs that aren't able to get the job done, while you have elite guys on the outside, you're going to struggle. But I do think Ohio State's supporting cast, not just on the outside, but on the interior, on the offensive line, it's going to help the young quarterback do a lot of good things. But I truly expect some early season struggles. They may not result in losses, but I expect them to struggle. But those struggles are going to help them at the end of the day, because winning is tough. I mean, winning a game as a starting quarterback is hard. And then you add in, you're going up against Texas, who was a national semifinalist a year ago that Ohio State beat in the Cotton Bowl. That just adds fuel to the fire, and why that game, win or loss, is going to be a struggle for the Buckeye starting quarterback.
Assign percentages to each of the three quarterbacks. Tavian St. Clair, Lincoln Keenholz, Julian Sayin. Percentage in terms of likelihood that each of those guys is the starting quarterback come this fall.
I'll go young guy first. I say 0%. And people may be upset with that. I don't care. He's a true freshman. He's not a Jeremiah Smith type player or a Caleb Downs type player, at least not right now. I put 0% for him. I would probably say 30% for Keenholz, because he does have the athletic traits that make me realize that Hartline might want to utilize that. Also, just the long tenure there in the program, being the longest tenure guy there. And I would probably say the other 70% is going to Julian Sayin. Keenholz is a better thrower right now than he was at this time a year ago. Sayin is also a better thrower right now than he was this time a year ago. But I think it's 70-30. Sorry, the young guy. Sorry, in St. Clair. I can't give you anything right now, because I don't see a scenario where Ryan Day is going to start a true freshman, especially when you got those two guys above them that are really good quarterbacks and really good players. I would say 70% Sayin, 30% Keenholz. It probably should be more 75-25. But I have a gut feeling that Keenholz is going to show a lot of people out there he has what it takes to be a Buckeye starting quarterback.
Lastly, Jay, I've been on a mission to find the most important transfer for every team that I talk about here on the show. Who from the portal does Ohio State need to pop for them to reach their ceiling this year, which is probably get back to the playoff, maybe national semifinal?
Probably Ethan Ananwa, the left tackle transfer from Rice. Call me crazy for going with an offensive lineman, but Spencer,
I don't think you're crazy.
You watch college football. You know what Ohio State went through last year, going down to their 9th offensive lineman, rotating at guards in the playoffs, doing things you really don't think about, moving a guard to a tackle who now may be a first-round pick. You don't really think about those things and say, oh, in the next year, the following team may have to deal with that again, but that's reality. Ohio State had to deal with so many issues, injury issues on the offensive line, but when you could pick up a guy that some NFL people say could have been a 2nd or 3rd round pick this year, but stays in schools, transfers up to Ohio State, and he's going to protect the blind side of the starting quarterback. I'm not even going to put a name in this conversation. Just starting quarterback in general. That's the key. I could have added some other guys there, a Max Clare, a C.J. Donaldson. I could have done that. But when you get that blind side correct, it makes a quarterback's job a whole lot easier.
Jay Stevens, Locked On Buckeyes, making my job and your job easier to be an informed college football fan. That'll do it for today. Appreciate everyone listening. I will see you next time, and until then, hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.